So if we go through the 12 signs, Aries, they have a real problem with their temper, and they get pissed off that they get pissed off, and they think everybody's dull. Tauruses, they feel so bad because they're slow, and they judge themselves, like they think something's wrong with them.
Yeah.
Geminis feel really bad because they're so inconsistent. They don't follow through, and they get mad at themselves. Cancers feel so bad for being sad. They're like, why do I have to be the one that gets sad all the time? Excuse me, you're compassionate. Dalai Lama's a double Cancer. Leos, they have the best time, and then they get self-conscious because they secretly think they're going to get in trouble soon, which they do because they're so loud. And they do call attention. Virgos criticize themselves. You know this one. Till the cows come home. I should have. That's their favorite line. I should have done that. I know that was wrong. Well, reframe. You're doing everything right. And by the way, you always get shit done. So stop it. Libra. I don't know. I'm in the wrong relationship. Well, I'm in the right. No, I'm not. I shouldn't do. Well, I want to be in a relationship. No, I like being alone. No, it's the indecisive variable that has the human psyche feeling very unreliable rather than, no. You're the fickle, playful, sharing, sometimes yes, and sometimes no. It's okay. Scorpio. Why am I so heavy? Why are people so dippy? I don't like it here. Shut up. That's not the right answer. The right answer is you're so intense. You wake us up. You ask the deepest questions. You make us all provocative. And we like that you're heavy. Sagittarius. Oh, I don't like all this astrology shit. It's so stupid and so generalized. And I think people should just have fun. Why are we even talking about? Oh, really, Sag? You're the philosopher who's supposed to be giving us advice. Don't deny things because you're so opinionated. Capricorn. I hate working, but I love working. I need money, but I don't want money, but I do need money, but I'm going to save the money, but I want a deal. No, I like they're so money. Calm down. Share, Capricorn. Share today when you listen to this. Go give someone a big fat tip and make yourself uncomfortable. Give till it hurts. Aquarius. I don't know. I don't fit in here. I feel so strange. People are so slow. I'm so fast. I'm so special and I'm so different and I'm not special at all. Like, well, your ego's a little out of whack, Aquarius, and your gift is you're unbelievably creative. So stop talking about how different you are and how separate you are and how stupid we are and just be nice to us. And then Pisces, oh, I feel so sad. They're like in your company. They're in your family. I feel so sad and I don't really understand this planet. It's so confusing. Excuse me, did you not read the metaphysical books? You chose to be here. You didn't get pushed on the bus. You're a volunteer position, and we're so glad you're here because you have the best memory of how it's supposed to be.
I love that. What are your children?
Deborah Silverman, brought to you by Astrology.
Welcome to Coming Into Focus. I am your host, Helen Tansey. So I am doing a special intro for this one because this guest, I have to tell you, I have been so excited to sit down with. It is Deborah Silverman, and Deborah Silverman is an astrologer. She is also a psychotherapist, and she has written 2 books. The one that I just finished listening to is I Don't Believe in Astrology, and I love this conversation. She is kind, open-hearted. She is funny. We even sing together. So I hope that you get as much out of this show that I did, that you learn a little bit, not only about astrology, but how it can help you in your life. And I think you're going to fall in love with this woman. So let's get to the episode. Deborah Silverman, I am beyond thrilled that you are here. I am fangirling. I really, really am a fan of yours.
So sweet. It's so sweet.
No, I do. And I've listened to your books. I've watched you on podcasts, and you just are such a beautiful, expansive soul. And it's just such an honor to have you here today.
Thank you, Helen. I appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome. You're very welcome. I thought before we start, I would like to sort of start with my birthday is July 21st. And when I was growing up, some books would say that I was Cancer. Some books would say that I was Leo. Some books would say I was on the cusp. But I have to tell you, I always wanted to be a Leo because the Leos were cool. They were confident. They just sort of had this like they didn't care about things. And I was a Cancer, so I was the crybaby. I felt things very, very deeply. My family actually even sometimes would call me a crybaby. And I remember it was just so overwhelming sometimes, the emotions that I would feel. And it wasn't until I was like 21, I had my brother passed away. And when he did, I remember walking into this bookstore in Toronto called the Omega Center, and they had Shirley MacLaine, remember her book on chakras and past lives.
Out on a
Lou
limb.
Out on a Limb, thank you. Louise Hay, books on reincarnation, angel cards, everything. And I started exploring it, and all of a sudden, it made me realize that there was nothing wrong with me. There was nothing wrong with how I felt so much. It was actually one of my powers and one of my gifts. But what it did is it really helped me to have a better understanding, a better way to protect myself, and to not, like, I found sometimes my emotions would just be so strong. It was like this vortex. Like I felt like it would pull me into this sadness. Um, so that's why I think I love the work that you are doing so much, because you bring an understanding not only of who we are on the surface, but on a soul level, like in the very fiber of our being. And I know that sometimes people still think astrology is woo woo, but I just think it is real and so meaningful, and it's such a gift.
Well, that's why I called the book I Don't Believe in Astrology, was for
Yes,
all those people that are listening that think this is just woo woo, but it's
I know.
not.
I know. And why do you think that? Because when you look at mainstream, like I think of things that, um, therapy used to be considered woo woo, or healing, breath work, meditation. But I still feel like astrology is still put on that shelf of it being woo woo.
Well, it's moved up to the front of the shelf. I mean,
Okay.
everywhere in social media, if you look in social
Yes.
media, you'll see that there's so many young emerging astrologers. It makes me so happy. And while they may not be sophisticated, because I've been doing this for 50 years, so I have a little bit of experience, they certainly have the appetite. And it is coming back into the zeitgeist. And we are having to ask questions like, what is going on? And astrologers answer that question.
So, can you just explain to our listeners what astrology is?
So it's a simple map based on hard science. It's astronomy. What was the birth time? What was the city? Like literally at the moment of birth, they put up a lens, they take a picture of the sky, and that becomes your chart. And it follows you around for your whole life. And the actual science is non debatable. It's just facts
Mm.
where the plan, and they've execute charts since 4,000 years ago. They knew how fast the moon moved and how many times Mercury went retrograde, and all of that's hard science. The variable is the interpretation. And it's so funny because
Mm.
my first astrology reading was in Toronto. It all started in
Really?
Toronto. Yeah, I was in school. I told you I went to university, and I met a woman at school. I was at York University studying dance, and the woman that was my dear friend, who was a triple Gemini, came home with me right about this time. It was in September during the Jewish holidays. We were both Jewish. She came back with me to Detroit, and we
Yeah.
sat at my dinner table with my Jewish family that looked just like Woody Allen dressed them all up and plopped them into the, like, they may as well have been like, no need for cameras. I mean, no need for costumes or makeup, because they looked exactly the role. And then she went around the table to my mother and my father and my aunt and my brothers, and she described this crazy Jewish family I had better than I could. And when we finished dinner, we got back in the car, drove back to Toronto, and I said to her, what did you just do? Like, I want to learn that. And then she was going to Ponoka, Alberta. She was several years ahead of me in dance, and she was going to work in a mental hospital in Ponoka, Alberta. Don't ask me. And her father said, if someone drives in the car with you, I'll fly them back. And she said, would you drive in the car? And I was like, under one condition. You teach me what you did at dinner that night, and I'll drive in the car with you.
Wow.
And that's how it all started.
So you also, because I know you said you went to school for dance, but you're also a psychotherapist.
I have a master's in clinical psych. Yeah. So I went back to
Okay.
school years later.
And how do you braid those two together? Like with the.
Well, it's quoted by Carl Jung, who was the original psychiatrist of this world. And he said, psychology will be a dinosaur science until it includes astrology. So he was back in the 1930s was doing psychology with the chart in his pocket. And I did the same. But it was, to your point, woo woo at that point. It was like when I went to graduate school and told them I was doing a research project on mental health, and they were like, no, you're not. I was like, oh, yes, I am. I'm going to go in the back wards of hospitals and get all their charts. And they were like, they kind of told me not to do it, but did that stop me? No.
I love that.
Yes.
It's interesting because I studied tarot. I did tarot for a few years, and every now and then if somebody asks me, I'll do a reading. But one of the things if I do a reading on somebody, I always like to know what their astrology sign is, because I like to know, are they earth? Are they, are they water? Are they air? Are they fire? Because it does make a difference how I present the reading to them, right? So if it's like earth or water, I'm going to go a little bit slower. If it's Aries, if it's like fire, it's like quicker, like just give me the facts.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Two things. I'm teaching a class in November. I don't know when this is coming out, for the Shift Network on tarot and astrology. They're best friends.
I know.
And I'm in love with both of them. Yeah. So I did interrupt your question. I just wanted to share with the audience
that I love that.
I'm in love with the tarot. I'm in love with astrology. It's so funny. It never goes away.
And it does work together, doesn't it? It really does.
The 22 major arcana, there's 12 cards for the 12 signs, and there's 10 cards for the 10 planets, but they were created in the 15th century, and they didn't find Pluto till 1930. So they left the Pluto card, which is the death card, in the deck. They knew all the 10 planets before we ever discovered them.
Wow. So how do you use then, because I think when people think of astrology, they just think of like your sun sign, but there's so much more to it. Like, and you spoke about it in your book about the elements. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think it might help people have a better understanding of their sign also.
Yes. So the elements, the first book I wrote was called The Missing Element, and it has no astrology in it. So if you don't believe in astrology, you can still do the personality types based on the elements, and you don't need to know your birth time. You can just read the book, and very quickly you'll go, oh, I am like you are so water. Well, water people, super sensitive, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, cry at the drop of a hat, to your point, cry baby. They get named cry baby as a kid. They're the ones that want to be alone, and they want to be in their room, and they want to have people leave, and they love animals, and they love cooking, and they love playing at home. All the water signs are reclusive by nature. Then the air signs are the talkers, airheads. They think all the time, and they're talking, and they forget things, and they don't know where they're going, and they can't find their phone, and they can't find their purse, but they're very charming, and they endear you to them because they're asking you a million questions like this. Like they're so curious. They're constantly so curious. It's a wonderful quality, actually. And then comes Earth. And these are the practical people in the world, and they are all about being grounded and really having a sense of purpose. You have quite a bit of Earth, like the perfectionist and the organizer and the stability and this is the people in the world who they love doing spreadsheets. I don't really understand these people. They love going to Costco and buying all the cleaning supplies. They love moving the furniture when they vacuum. I'm like, can we just leave that there? But that's the Earth people. Practical, grounded, stable, repetitive, simple, and they are workaholics. So that's the Earth. The air is obviously the thinkers, the students, the studiers, or the intellects. They're always forgetting things because they're airheads. And the water people are the mush pushes, which you have quite a bit of. And then is the fire people. And the fire people, which you have a little bit of fire in your chart, not very much. I'm just looking at it. And when you're missing an element, this is the name of the book. For example, you're missing fire. So for you to make it about you and talk about yourself or be the center stage, part of you's like, all right, you'll do it when there's a reason. As compared to a fire person who walks in the room and they take over and they're loud and they're drinking and turning up the music. And that's a different personality type. And so essentially the four elements, which, by the way, in the tarot deck, the very first card, the number 1 card, is the magician. And on the magician's table are the four elements. You can't even exist in this reality without mastering the four elements, which I say all the time, but I feel like a broken record. The elements are the simple entrance and at the base note of astrology, the four directions when it comes to indigenous people. The Hawaiians lived for the four elements. The old Jews that were Kabbalistic, they called them the four worlds. Everything revolved around the elements in the good old days.
So when you say the elements, like if somebody has like heavier water or heavier fire, is there a way to balance that if it's not in your chart?
100%. That's what the book is, a missing element. It actually gives you a little test in the front. You
Right.
figure out you're missing, and then you balance it because it's like four wheels in a car. So if one of
Yes.
the wheels is down, the whole thing goes off. So I'm essentially helping people come back to balance because if you're missing fire, you're not having fun. You stopped having
Mm,
orgasms. You stopped going and having adventures. You're not willing to take exercise classes anymore. You've passed that point. You're going to lose your juju. Just
mm.
like if you freeze and turn into ice and you stop crying and you don't care anymore and you don't want to be around people, that's water out of balance. So yes, of course, they can all go either way.
What's your Gemini?
I am. I'm
Yeah.
so Gemini.
What is your moon? So can you explain this to people? So you have the sun, the rising, and the moon. Those are sort of the three first things that people look at.
That's right. So the sun is your ego. So you're a
Okay.
Cancer and your personality shows up. Ego is like the knee jerk response. Like, you can't control that. The moon is the at nighttime. It's the inner world. It's the dream time. It's the emotional body. It's the secrets. And the
Mm,
rising sign is the rising. We're rising. We're ascending. It's also called the ascendant to our higher self. So those three ingredients are like the pillars. And mine, yeah, and mine are my little personality. I mean, I get so sick of me. Can't get rid of Deborah. Gemini talks with their hands. And my moon's in Aries, and I've got excessive energy. It's kind of a lot. And then my rising sign's Libra. So the beauty, the art, the little friendly people here, my dolphin and my sloth. I mean, I'm like a 6-year-old. Why don't I just admit that? I'm like a 6-year-old playing astrology all day.
So when you talk about the ego, because there's a part in your book in chapter 3 where you talk about the observer and the gremlins. Um, and I loved this chapter because so often I think we have these feelings, we have our ego. Can you share a little bit more about the observer and the gremlins?
Yes. So everybody has. I wonder who pays this guy. The gremlin's the guy in the middle of the night. You wake up and he starts talking shit about you. He has you worried. You didn't do this. You should have done that. Why didn't you say that? Like, who is that guy? And how do we get him in his seat? So part of what the book is about is the observer recognizes what your gremlins are nibbling about because it's not usually real. And the observer can say to the gremlins, can you sit down? So it's essentially the negative voices that the human condition, the operating system, is just riddled with. I don't know who gave us the skill set to constantly judge ourselves, but it comes with this. Like, you have 3 planets in Virgo, so you really have a bad case of this. Like, this part of your body or that part of your body, or comparisonitis, I call it, or wishing you were different. That's Virgo in your case. So the point of the story is, once the observer's on, and I'll distinguish the observer from the gremlin. So the gremlin's up at night and he
Hmm.
just nibbles on you. He's up all the time. He looks in the mirror. Oh, there's a line over here. And the observer is Switzerland, neutral,
Mm,
doesn't judge, names it. The toast is burnt is a perception by the observer. You idiot, you burnt the toast. That's the judger. So the
right.
toast is burnt. I'm not saying I'm going to eat the toast, but I'm not going to judge you for burning the toast. That is the distinction. Is the gremlins love to hurt you? I don't know who pays them. I don't know why they work so hard. And then the higher self, better known as
Yes.
your observer, diminishes that judgment.
It's funny because when I was listening, 'cause I shared with you earlier, I listened to your book on my walks. When with this chapter, I felt like the observer for me was also gratitude.
Totally.
And I feel that when those gremlins come in for me in my life, I go into gratitude. Like I try to sort of like when the gremlins are like, oh, your work is slow, I will go into that. I'm so grateful for the work that I do have. Like I really sort of play it off that way. But I found that for me, the observer is where I can also have more gratitude.
100%. That is your higher self. It's the part that's
Mm,
called the witness. And it's very grateful. And that is a clue of any spiritual being. They live in a state of gratitude, no matter what. Someone taught me that at a very young age. I had a teacher, and she said, she was in her 80s, and I was a munchkin. And she said,
mm,
be grateful for everything. And I was like, everything? And she was like, everything. Like, just start with gratitude, even when you don't believe it. And it's been a very hard, it's not a natural response unless you have your observer fully engaged, which means you start the day with gratitude. I'm so
hmm.
glad I'm here. It's so funny. The picture behind you has me with my hands on my heart.
I know.
That's how I start the day.
I love that photo of you, by the way. You look in your
Thank you.
element. For when you see it the way I took out the background, obviously to go on here, but the background is really beautiful with it too.
I was in the mountains. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, when the gremlins get loud, is that a sign that maybe I'm trying to think like if the gremlins get loud, like maybe you're off balance?
It just means your observer's not on.
It just means your observer's not on.
Because they just take over. I mean, they can be loud, they can be consistent, they can be mean. When they
Yeah.
start to really, it just means that there's no one's in charge. There's no supervisor.
Yeah.
There's no governor. And as soon as I realized I could be the governor of my internal
Mm.
dialogue, woohoo!
And how do you do that? Like, do you have a practice? Do you have a morning
I do. I
practice?
go like
Yeah.
this. Observer on. As soon as I get caught with a lot of gremlins, or I notice that I'm nervous, or
Mm.
I don't do anxiety a lot, but I know a lot of people do. I literally for years said out loud, observer on. And it would just change my point of view. And then I'd be like, wow, Deborah, you're being so mean. Those gremlins, they are so mean to you right now. What are they doing in the mirror?
Mm. I love
And so
that.
it's a practice. And yes, starting with the whole day. I start the day with my hand on my heart. That's one of
Yeah.
my practices. And I like that picture, which I can't see
Yes.
my head. It's so cute. But I hit my head's cut off. But it's so beautiful because my hands are on my heart. And that's how you engage the observer.
With the observer, when you wrote in your book, you had shared about a book you read by Ellis Bailey. Is that right? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to paraphrase this, but she said the goal of this game called life is to go through initiations, better known as crisis, to see if you will allow your soul to intervene. And then you go on to say the purpose of crisis is to see whether or not you will wake up, seek your soul, and turn these lessons into joyful practices full of acceptance. I loved that. It is easier said than done when you're in it. Right? So that observer thing. But what advice or what would you share with people when they're going through that difficult time, when they're going through that tragedy, like how to sort of connect and how to stay in it? Because your freedom, I have two boys and I've said this before on the show, but when they go through challenges, I'm like, if you can stay in this, your freedom is on the other side.
Said the mom, said the cancer mom who hates when her kids aren't happy.
Right?
And it's 100% true. Yeah. I'd say the ultimate challenge, it sounds like a trite phrase, is to wake up. So, what does waking up mean? It means that you realize, oh my goodness, my entire psychology is built to make me feel bad. What? Until until you're awake, until you realize the food they feed you, the news, what they tell you, the constant struggles that your family have and how they keep dwelling on that, the nature of your business and how it's doing and how your mind just, until you have the freedom and you're the governor or you're the observer of your own life, honest to God, I was just talking to someone that was from Israel just this morning, and he said, he really didn't like his body. I was like, okay, can I just tell you something? that thought, he was a Cancer, that thought, that constant reoccurring thought brought to you by your gremlins is going to undermine you. Now you're asking the question, how do you change that story? Like, well, first things first, you identify the voice and distinguish it from your silly, cute little ego, because they're pretty close to the ego. The gremlin and the ego are like, rah, 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 rah. And as soon as you distinguish it and go, excuse me, I'm in charge, you are not. Game changer. But, crisis is what wakes us up. Most people at the death, at the divorce, at the financial breaking, when they're in pain, spirit gets our attention. It's unfortunate that we don't learn. I always wish they had like a little memo that came. It said, be prepared. You're going to get sick. Don't misinterpret this. We need you to slow down. Okay, well, then I'll just slow down. Don't get me sick. Or the memo came. This relationship's about to be over. Be kind. Don't make him wrong. Oh, well, thank you so much for the instruction. But no, the end of the relationship and we assassinate the guy. The illness comes and we become a victim to the illness, and it's all we talk about. We don't know how to keep the observer on when those big crises happen, because they're trying to push us against the wall until we say, wow, life is trying to wake me up by the harshest of means.
Yes.
Not very nice. I wish that it was different. I wish we had, instead of emails, we had H-mails that came from heaven. And they just gave us directives, like prepare for ending.
Yeah. Well, I think you're a little bit of that. I think you're a little bit of a gift from heaven, honestly, with like the advice and what you're putting out there. It does help people. So,
well, it's my function this lifetime, my purpose of being alive. It didn't pass me by. You told you the story in Toronto when I was 18, 19 years old and met astrology. I mean, I started at 10 years old. At 10 years old, I saw the word astrology in a Detroit Free Press in the comic section.
Yeah.
And lit up like a Christmas tree, and it's never gone away.
Yeah.
And I'm now almost 70. It's so crazy to think about.
I love that. But I wonder, do you feel that I'm sort of similar when I was young? When you were saying that I was like talk to the animals, and I would be outside and I'd look up at the sky and I'd be like, what is it? Like what? There's more. I just always like had this yearning and knowing that there was so much more than just this.
Every soul that comes in with a past life memory of having some relationship with in their past, call it Jesus, call it Buddha, call it witchcraft, call it the artist, you come in inheriting memories, but it's so convoluted because the mind scrambles it all up and there's no real memory. I mean, I remembered astrology. There's no question that it came in that fast. And I just went to my 50th high school reunion. This is funny. And all these kids were there that were now almost 70, didn't look, they had those pictures on them, thank God. But I remembered their sun signs. Like I was this is my way that my brain works. And it was in place at a very, very young age. Now, everyone listening to this, something was triggered as a child, whether in your case, your sensitivity showed up or your love for art showed up, or you loved kids, or you loved animals, or you loved singing. But we leave those things behind.
Yeah.
And we turn into grown-ups. And that's the gift of having children, because the child brings us back to, oh, I remember. I loved coloring. Oh, I loved spelling tests. Oh, whatever your propensity is. But if you're not awake, this is why we get astrology readings. Astrology describes the specific promise that you made this life.
So what happens if somebody comes to you for a reading and you can sort of say, okay, you're going to have, an amazing year or maybe not an amazing year. What does that do for people? Like, does it help them sort of prepare?
Totally. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think one of the challenges is there's a lot of different variations on astrology.
Yes.
So there's some challenges here. So some astrologers, they talk and they talk and they talk. And at the end of the session, they talk jargon. You're like, oh, my Venus is conjunct Neptune in the second house opposite the eighth, where my Mars is opposite my Saturn, and they're squaring. And you're like, what did you just say? So in some astrology sessions, which is not our school, I have 24 certified astrologers that I've trained personally who don't talk jargon. They're going to talk to you about the upcoming year, to your question, give you the flavor, set you up for success, prepare you. They're not going to say to you, oh, your progressed moon is conjunct your Venus in the 12th house. So therefore, they're just going to say, oh, you might have a quieter year this year. Don't don't make it wrong. Nothing's wrong. So a good astrologer assists people in identifying the era they're in, what their life lesson is, what their promise was. And that's what I do this thing called matchmaking. It's funny. I like to sing, matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. You send me your chart.
Shine me a shine, catch me a catch.
Night after night in the dark, I'm alone. So find me a catch of my own.
I love that.
Did we just sing together?
We did.
Okay. So in my system, you send me your birth date.
Yep.
And my assistant puts your chart up, and then I match you up with one of my 24 astrologers. That would be someone that really understood water, because you need someone you don't want, to your point, when you do the tarot reading and you figure out their element, if you're water, you don't want somebody talking at you with all these hard details that are not even interesting to you.
Yeah.
You want someone to touch your heart.
That's so smart. So can anyone with your school, somebody listening to, if they want to deepen their practice with astrology, or they would like to teach it, they can join your school and do that?
Of course, yes. And it's only twice a year the doors open, in September and in January. The school only opens twice a year. So we have a waiting list, and then you just write to info at Deborah Silverman Astrology, and you say 3 words, Deborah Silverman Astrology, and you say, I'm interested in Deborah's school, but I don't know what it's about. And then we'll inform you. And we sell out because we only have so many spots, but there's only 10 people in each class. When you come to the school, you would love it. You just study your chart. Like, what are we doing? We're not going to study generic or famous people's charts or theories. I want it to touch your heart.
Yes. Well, and to make it something that you can use. What's the point of learning all this stuff if you can't use it in your everyday life for yourself or for others?
That's why we call it applied astrology.
Right. So I've been hearing a lot about this year, that it's been a really challenging year for a lot of people. I've heard some podcasts, some mediums saying that there's this stripping, like things that are not working for us are sort of being taken, like stripped away from us. What do you think is what do you think is going on right now I don't want to say in the world, because I feel that's such a huge subject, but I feel like there is, like, people are struggling right now.
It's true. It's so true. There is a giant shift happening right now. If anyone's interested in astrology, you all know that the outer planets, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, are all this year changing signs. It's the first time in the history of the planet.
So can you explain what that means?
It means that AI is coming to get us, and ET is coming to get us, and governments are breaking, and we don't really have an understanding anymore of where safety is, and codes of ethics and due process, and all the things that we counted on for stability are going away. Now, good news, I can tell you how to find your own inner stability and become your own governor, your own ethical, moral compass, and not care what other people say and do. But the outer world is in shambles, and it's just obvious when you say it. Like, you go, oh, all the coral, 80% of the coral in the world is gone. No one ever talks about this.
Yeah.
80% is gone.
Yeah.
That should make a double cancer cry. It is so sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you go.
No, you go.
No, you go.
Okay. I was just going to say, because we were talking about water, I dive, and we go to a place called Roatan. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's a little island next to Honduras, but it's now actually the world's largest coral reef, because the one in Australia has been so destroyed.
It's bleached.
And I went there right after COVID, and it had started to come back to life, and it started growing again. And then I see all these tourists coming in. I'm like, oh, well, that's not going to last very long. But it's sad.
Super sad. But here's the
Yeah.
deal, you guys. Here's the good news. If you imagine, and you have children, I have children, if you imagine that you had never seen a woman give birth,
Mm.
like you just didn't even know, all you knew was she started throwing up at the beginning of this movie. Then this thing started sticking out of her stomach. Then she was holding her back and she looked horrible. Like she was like, really, this thing was wrong. And then it's the 11th hour and now she's screaming and you're looking at it, you're like, everything's wrong. I mean, this is clearly wrong. And now she's yelling and screaming and you never saw it before. You'd be like, okay, take her out of her misery. Well, that's the same thing on the planet. We don't know if the coral's loss and if the nature of this is a symptom of us going through a birth canal because what we've been doing doesn't work. So something else has to come, and nature abhors a vacuum. So there's something going to be filled in as this thing breaks, the coral being gone. So don't underestimate the miracles, said the astrologer, because the stars never, ever, 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 ever deviate. There is consistent, every day the sun comes up, every day the moon moves in perfect increments, totally predictable, never deviates. That system's airtight and safe. This system with our human condition is dated.
Yes.
Back to the email, the H mail. Why can't they just write us a note and go, the species has an expiration date, be prepared? Like, okay, well, no wonder everything's breaking.
Yeah.
But we didn't get that.
No. And do you feel that this breaking is something that is needed? Like it is needed for it? Yeah.
100%. If you were in a room watching a woman give birth, can you imagine, Helen, if you were in the room and it was your sister and she was yelling and you're like, somebody help her.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
And now I don't know, will it be a stillbirth? Will it be a healthy baby? I don't know.
Yeah.
Good question.
When people come to you, because I know you have some pretty notable clients, you've got Sting and Jennifer Aniston, then you've got your school and your books. And what are some of, like, when people come to you, what is it that, I don't want to say what they're seeking because I feel like it's a knowing that they already know, which is why they're coming to you. But what is it? Can you share some stories of what you have seen, like the transformations of people when they come to you?
Yeah, it's a great question. People come to me and they've lost their juju, for example, like older women who have finished their career, their kids have left the house, and they're stalemated. They're like, I don't know what to do. And then they come and they decide to come study astrology. And all of a sudden, I get letters from their husbands all the time. Oh, she's back. And now she's doing the kids' charts, and now she's doing the neighbors' charts, and now she's got a little company where she's getting people coming to see her. Like I've watched people use astrology to bring back their life force. That's the one version. I've watched people use astrology to determine, young people, I know what I want to be when I grow up. I always knew that I love numbers. I know it's boring, but it's right here in my chart. I'm an accountant. It's so obvious. Why am I resisting what I thought was boring when actually I'm built for the job? And then they find a really powerful career and they stop complaining about the fact that they're boring because they've got lots of Virgo and Capricorn. I've seen people come to see me who, this is a great story of at the very beginning of my school, the woman came in and she was very shy. I was teaching the class at the time. I don't teach anymore. I was teaching then. And I looked at her chart and I was like, hold on a minute. You have so much fire in this chart. You're not shy. And she was overweight. And I said, I have a challenge for you. I want you to start exercising. Well, she lost 30 pounds. She came back to life. She gave herself back to her fire. Her husband wrote me and said, I haven't seen her like this in years, because she remembered the part of her she left behind because she stopped working out.
Yes. So it's almost like helping people find who they really are again. And especially younger people, when you said that, I think it's so because younger people, a lot of the times they do what they think they should do, what their parents tell them to do. And, you know, I'm a photographer and I photograph a lot of actors. And when young actors come, they're always like, yeah, my parents don't think this is a real profession. And I'm like, so what? Have fun, enjoy it. And to me, like, I'm a believer, like if that spark is there, it's your responsibility to follow it. And maybe you'll be an actor, maybe you'll meet the love of your life, maybe you'll get into something else, but unless you follow that spark, you're never going to know.
It's so true. And that's what astrology does. So astrology is a true north. It gives people that
Yes.
definition of their spark.
Yeah.
Like you're an actress, don't deny it. Or you're a singer, where did it go?
Yes.
Or you're a mom, double Cancer, like you love being at home. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So then can we just talk about aging? Because you kind of touched on it a little bit with women.
That I told you I was 85 years old.
So I think you are so beautiful, Deborah, and I love aging. I really want to change the narrative around aging and see it as something that we can look forward to. So with archetypes, how can we use those archetypes? Like there's, the sage, the healer, like how can we sort of lean into those more to sort of get excited about getting older and not fear it?
I mean, my life has gotten so much better. I can't even believe it.
Yeah.
Back to those days in Toronto when I was at university in Downsville, Ontario, and it was freezing cold, and I was so self-conscious, and I was being a dancer and comparing myself all day till now. What a different soul. So just notice the evolution. If you're doing your work, this is why I love my class on the tarot, because it talks about the arc of evolution. And there's a phase where you hit the devil, and the devil says you're going to have to be burdened by how much work you have to do, or you're going to have to learn how to have fun because you forgot. Like there's messages that come along the way. And evolution is the best thing that ever happened to us. I mean, it's so funny. Just think about how much, for me, how much happier I am now than when I was in my 20s. It's ridiculous to think about. So don't you dare say that aging is not a wonderful trait. If you're at all awake and your body, and this is the other piece, and this is a double Cancer, the strongest body type there is. If you take care of your body, which is why people don't believe I'm 70, like they're like, I was sitting in a room yesterday with all these women. They were from Canada. And they were 3 gray-haired women, and they were so sure that I was the young one in the room. Well, I wasn't. And I mean, my hair just it hasn't turned gray. I don't know why. So
I'm with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And how old are you?
I'm 60.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Exactly. You look great. So that's the point. Why is it not turning gray? I don't know. Why am I more energized now? Why am I having so much fun? Because I don't use age as the marker, and I pay attention to what I eat. I pay attention to what I talk about. I don't let myself dwell on negativity. I just grab her by the scuff of the neck and I go, Debbie, I call her. Debbie, we're not doing complaining today, honey. Come with me.
Yeah. Yeah. See, mine isn't negativity. Mine is like sadness.
That's very so Cancer.
Much. I know. Why is that?
Every sign has a thing. Yeah. Cancer. So if we go through the 12 signs, Aries, they have a real problem with their temper, and they get pissed off that they get pissed off, and they think everybody's dull. Tauruses, they feel so bad because they're slow, and they judge themselves. Like they think something's wrong with them. Yeah. Geminis feel really bad because they're so inconsistent. They don't follow through, and they get mad at themselves. Cancers feel so bad for being sad. They're like, why do I have to be the one that gets sad all the time? Excuse me, you're compassionate. Dalai Lama's a double Cancer. Leos, they have the best time, and then they get self-conscious because they secretly think they're going to get in trouble soon, which they do because they're so loud. And they do call attention. Virgos criticize themselves. You know this one. Till the cows come home. I should have. That's their favorite line. I should have done that. I know that was wrong. Well, reframe. You're doing everything right. And by the way, you always get shit done. So stop it. Libra. I don't know. I'm in the wrong relationship. Well, I'm in the right. No, I'm not. I shouldn't do. Well, I want to be in a relationship. No, I like being alone. No, it's the indecisive variable that has the human psyche feeling very unreliable rather than, no. You're the fickle, playful, sharing, sometimes yes, and sometimes no. It's okay. Scorpio. Why am I so heavy? Why are people so dippy? I don't like it here. Shut up. That's not the right answer. The right answer is you're so intense. You wake us up. You ask the deepest questions. You make us all provocative. And we like that you're heavy. Sagittarius. oh, I don't like all this astrology shit. It's so stupid and so generalized. And I think people should just have fun. Why are we even talking about? Oh, really, Sag? You're the philosopher who's supposed to be giving us advice. Don't deny things because you're so opinionated. Capricorn, I hate working, but I love working. I need money, but I don't want money, but I do need money, but I'm going to save the money, but I want a deal. No, I like they're so money, money, money. Calm down. Share. Capricorn, share today when you listen to this. Go give someone a big fat tip and make yourself uncomfortable. Give till it hurts.
I love
Aquarius,
that.
I don't know. I don't fit in here. I feel so strange. People are so slow. I'm so fast. I'm so special and I'm so different and I'm not special at all. Like, well, your ego's a little out of whack, Aquarius, and your gift is you're unbelievably creative. So stop talking about how different you are and how separate you are and how stupid we are and just be nice to us. And then Pisces, oh, I feel so sad. They're like in your company. They're in your family. I feel so sad and I don't really understand this planet. It's so confusing. Oh, excuse me. Did you not read the metaphysical books? You chose to be here. You didn't get pushed on the bus. You're a volunteer position. And we're so glad you're here because you have the best memory of how it's supposed to be.
I love that. What are
And
your
that was
children?
Deborah Silverman, brought to you by Astrology. I have many children, and
Yeah.
I have an Aquarius daughter who is the most delightful human on earth. I have an Aries son who is the most opinionated person I know. I have a Gemini stepson who is very, 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 very sensitive. Yeah, I have a bunch of them. Then I have a lot of other people that call me mom, but we'll leave them out.
Aw, I love. So, what are the things that bother you about astrology when you hear other people talk about it? Like when they say, like,
You
"Oh,
have
well,
the
a
best
Cancer."
questions, Helen.
Oh, do
Yeah.
I? Okay, good.
Yes. Yeah, I interrupted you about like the cancers always. It pisses me off. Two things. When they say all cancers are so sensitive, it's a problem. Excuse me. First of all, there's some cancers that their water turned to ice. They stopped feeling because they were too sad about being sad. And there's some cancers who don't like kids. So why do we
Right.
make general? So one is the generalizations, which I
Yes.
correct in my book.
Yeah.
And then the other is the jargon. I don't like when people start talking astrology with all the jargon and then we're left with, wait, what'd they say?
Yeah.
Like,
Do you
I want
believe?
it to be English.
Do you believe, like, if somebody said, like, my husband is a Cancer, we're both Cancers. I have no idea if that's a good fit or not. We've been married 25 years. I think it's a good fit. But you know how people say, oh, well, you shouldn't be with this person, or this is your better sign, or is that something that you
Oh,
sort
that's
of take
real, but
into?
it's
That
not,
is real.
but it's not just the sun sign. So
Right.
there's a lot more involved. And we have
Yes.
someone on our team who teaches relationship astrology, and it's a fascinating topic.
That would be
Worthy of our
fascinating.
attention. Yes.
I even think for parents, like for me, I haven't done it with my boys. They're older now, but understanding, with their permission,
100%.
it would like I have a Leo. My eldest one is a Leo, and I just love him, and he just is so confident. And then my younger one is my Pisces.
Oh, that's so sweet. Yes, it's really, I love that the little Cancer told me her kids' charts or their signs. The point of the story is parenting is a completely different animal when you
Yes.
understand how to honor your child's nature and not impose yours on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always tell the story of my double Aries son coming home from school. And he came in looking like he had his tail between his legs. And I was like, what happened? He was like, all the teachers put me in a room and sat in a circle and gave me shit because I hit the bully. I was like,
Mm,
wait, you're a double Aries. Of course you hit the bully. I would have never, how could you be yourself and not hit the bully?
yeah. Yes.
So he was like, thanks, Mom.
Oh, I love that. I love that. A couple of questions for you before we start to wrap up. There's a couple of questions that I love to ask because I'm very fascinated and interested. Is first of all, with death, what do you think happens when we leave this world?
That is my favorite question. Again, you did it again. It's my very favorite topic. There's a wonderful teacher that you should interview called Andrew Holchuk,
Okay.
Holecuk. He's brilliant. He wrote a book called Preparing to Die. I
Oh,
absolutely know it's a beautiful transition. And in Hawaii, they say you just change your address. It's just a change of address.
yes. Of course they say that in Hawaii. Of course they say that. So I'm not gonna go to the second question because we kind of did it. It was on aging. But what I would like to say before I say goodbye to you, first of all, I could keep talking to you and thank you again so much for being here. There is a saying that it is written in the stars. And I would love for you to close this show by sharing what you believe that the message the stars hold for the collective.
It's so beautiful. There's a thing called the Akashic Records. I have no direct experience of it, and yet I absolutely in my heart know it's true. There are karma inheritances that came from past lives. There's karma with people that you're living around now. That's all written in the stars. And the good news is the free will button happens once the drama works itself out. There's no free will there. You're going to meet that first husband. You're going to meet that puppy dog so you're a family dog. You were going to meet that first best friend that stayed with you your life. That was written in the stars. However, there's a free will button. And that's what my school's all about, waking up inside the dream.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. For our listeners, I'm going to have everything about you, Deborah, in the show notes. Get this book and listen to it. Actually, I love it on audio because I just love your voice and you sound like you're having so much fun doing it.
I did. That's so funny.
Yeah. But you are just a delight, and I knew that you would be. And again, thank you for sharing your time with us.
I bet this is the only podcast you did that we sang together. You'll remember that.
It is. It is. I remember seeing I think it was the O'Keefe back then, if you remember in Toronto, but I remember seeing, oh my gosh.
Fiddler on the Roof.
Fiddler on the Roof. Matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. Find me a find. Catch me a catch. Okay, here's another quick one before you go. My boys, I taught them this. They would go, do you love me?
Do I what?
And I would, do I love you? Remember that whole thing?
I love that song.
Yeah, that was a good one. And Norman Jewison did the movie, right?
Yep.
Thank you, my love. Thank
you so much for doing this beautiful interview, and I'm so grateful.
Thank you. I am so grateful for you. Thank you.